So we stopped here. Vayamagne vanuyama tuota vasuyavo havisha buddhyamanah Vayam samarye vidatheshu anam Vayam raya sahasasputra martan. May we of flame, fostered by thee and awakened, seekers of the substance, prevail by the offering. Prevail by the offering, such a beautiful idea. We in the great struggle, we in the comings of knowledge in our days, we, by the felicity or son of force, overcome all that are mortal. Now you could feel how much is said in such a simple verse. Yes, so many things which we don't presume anymore. Yeah? We don't even think in those terms, that we have to overcome all that are mortal. And what does it mean really? And in the comings of knowledge in our days, why days are mentioned. Days are the illuminations, yes, of our consciousness. So in those illuminations, the knowledge is arriving. And in that moment, we in the great struggle with what? With opposition, which is opposing, which is mortality, which wants to become immortal. So how to overcome the mortality and make it immortality? Vanuyama, may we conquer, or may we prevail. Root van means win. Actually, it's weird, but very closely related to English win. Winning van. Also, van is to win and enjoy. Both. This is typical for ancient language. Winning and enjoying. We have another root, ash, ashnute, ashnati, in the 5th and 9th class, and they are both also having these meanings of enjoying and acquiring, realizing. So acquiring, enjoying, winning, conquering, enjoying. This is what the idea. So if we think deeper into this meaning, that conquest is actually something, it's like appropriation. You appropriate, yeah? You make it your own. You become part of, or that becomes part of you. And since it is a part of you, of course, it is, you will enjoy it, because it's a natural enjoyment of you being yourself. So more conscious you are of yourself, more bliss is there, yeah, to experience. So basically this is the idea. So you see how deep psychologically it goes. Winning, conquering, acquiring, and enjoying. So every time we conquer ourselves, I can give you another example of psychological. Every time you conquer your weakness in some way, yeah, and establish order, higher order, you are in delight. You feel that you can do everything, anything. You're in control of yourself. Every time you lose the battle, you feel like, oh, again back to that kind of impossibility, to the dullness, to that, you're not in control of yourselves. The forces are controlling you, not you are controlling them.
Mudit, can I add something here?
Yeah.
Again, from a very practical perspective, so what I'm sort of observing in my life is that there are so many different levels of controls. There is one that is control over your external circumstances, and there is the other which is control of your responses or your inner circumstances. So and it's not always, I mean, they're not necessarily proportionally related.
Mm,
So, like, so even if you have control of the inner circumstances,
mm,
it might allow you to not get disbalanced so much when the outer circumstance, but the outer circumstance seems to have another whole law of action,
mm,
and
same, yeah.
that is something which is, but the management of the outer circumstances also depends on the inner movements. How do you manage?
Absolutely, absolutely.
In my case,
Eventually, it gives in. The outer circumstances eventually submit to your inner insistence. Yes, it might be that it will take long time, but still, at the end, everything submits to this inner will. Yeah, you see it in your life. Mother even speaks about this. Even people are very disturbed because what they desired very strongly they didn't achieve or didn't realize. But that what they desired comes to them later, in the time when they desire something else, and they are confused. And they don't know why this comes to me now. I want that, and so that makes their life quite messy, because they do not achieve immediately what they want inwardly. I'm speaking about the willpower rather than desire. And some people achieve it immediately on the spot. Mother had this. Yeah, she wanted some gloves. She speaks in her childhood, and then so many gloves were sent to her from all corners. All the friends are sending her some gloves. She didn't tell them that. She just wanted it. Yeah? And so she receives all the gloves from all over. For some people it is immediate, for others it is not. But your idea of inner control in spite of outer disturbance, that it is more important because then you can handle the outer disturbance easily, is great. Absolutely. I
no, what I'm also trying to say is that there is a control. I mean, there is a working on oneself on the inner dimensions of being, like your emotional control or your mental control or whatever. But then there is also the circumstantial control. So sometimes the circumstantial control can get overwhelming. Like in my case, whether I'm got my hands in so many things, then while there is a certain degree of control on one level, but because of the overwhelming circumstances outside, then it starts slipping here and there. So it's quite interesting. I'm like, just as an observation.
yeah, I understand that, yeah, quite well. And I noticed that if even outwardly you're totally disturbed or you're put into the very, how to say, bad situation or difficult situation, if you are in inner control, it doesn't matter much. Yeah? If inner control, if you are in control of yourselves, or your own emotions and your own ideas, thoughts, if you are have order within, then outer mess or outer difficulties, they are not difficulties anymore. They're just the field of application of your will and power and action of consciousness. So it's an amazing thing. Yeah? So you may be even happy in very difficult situation because you are in control of yourself. And
I,
there, hmm?
I am listening to all this. I'm just wondering about the word control right now. I'm just thinking control itself has such a controlling action, aggression, energy. I mean, like compared to the word poise, like if you have the ability to go in a poise or to be in poise, no matter what outer, I don't know, the word control is right now
Maybe the
scary.
word is not very right. Yes, control, because it requires, yeah, it has this,
Vital energy about I don't know, aggressive energy about it. There's so many things in it which itself I don't know, this is the first time I'm thinking like it, because of when I'm listening I'm feeling wish we could change this word.
well,
Which
it's a will, it's an action of will. Yeah? And if the action of will is intact, and that if it can manage the powers of lower powers of which are disturbing, actually coming to disturb. We will come to these powers in the next shloka also, in the next verse. So we will. So if you can manage that lower impulses, sexual impulses, desires impulses, the impulses of hunger, of greed, of all those impulses and forces which are trying to enter and to dictate to you a particular behavior, so you don't give in to these forces, so you are in control of yourself. Yeah, that means you can handle any circumstances, any situation in life, basically. But it sounds very very ordinary in a way, but it is so, truly speaking. How to say it better? It's not your control of your ego control. It is something else. Let us add one more element. There is the presence of the divine in you, which is to be always shining through. And if your control can help to withhold or to withstand the oppression of the mortals, again mortals, overcome all that are mortal, and that means all these forces which try to possess you and to make you vulnerable and to make you a food for their own. You will be feeding them with your energy. They will be eating you up alive. So if you can withstand that with your will and allow your inner being, your inner divinity to shine through, then you are in control. And whatever happens outside, you are in this divine presence. I've been in a very bad situation in life where there was no money, nowhere to go, nowhere to live. You do not know what to do. You're hungry, you're this, that. You're lost, totally lost. And but still, there was something in me, some presence, which when I look now back and think about those moments, it looks like they were good moments of my life, not bad. I don't remember them as a disastrous situation. This is what I wanted to say. When you have that contact with your true self and don't give in for these kind of forces, then you are Vanuyama, may we prevail. This is the prevailing of the divine nature over the mortal nature. And once that prevailing is taking place, nothing can disturb you much. Even you can be in concentration camp. Somebody somewhere, Sri Aurobindo says about this, if you are born in concentration camp, no, that was Satprem, but Sri Aurobindo says, if your soul, the psychic being, would come to hell, it would see only heaven there. So why? Because psychic being itself is already a fulfilled being. It does not depend on the outer circumstances. It depends on the inner divinity. It's a weird thing. Yeah? So the battle goes between the inner and outer. Who wins? Who prevails? Outer prevails, dictating its own, wisdoms of survival, of this and that, how to manage life, how to earn your living, how to be clever, how to speak right in the moment when it is needed, all that which is dictated by the outer life, that you should prevail in some way, or You prevail because you are. Yeah, you are true to yourself, to your inner self, and you don't need to prevail and to be clever. You don't need to manage. You don't need to manipulate circumstances because you are, and everything else is as it is. So you don't have anything to say there. Yeah?
That's
Just,
very interesting.
yeah.
No, you say.
No, go ahead.
After you.
No, the same idea developing. Yeah. So the outer is not there to make you. It is you there to make the outer. Yeah? So you take whatever comes and deal with it in the way you can. That's it. You are not disturbed by it, or you are not determined by it, or you are not led by it, or destroyed by it, even, because you take it so seriously and you cannot, because you are inwardly already fulfilled.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, but you don't reach that so easily, right? I mean, we all
Of course. Only 700 more lifetimes.
Wow, no, I don't want to live 700 more lifetimes.
700 is very little number. By the way, when you have that touch, inner touch, when you hear 700 more lifetimes, it feels like, so what? It is so nice because you have already something which touched you, and you feel that adventure of growing that inner being in even very weird circumstances is a very great adventure. And you are drawn to it. You are drawn to this, meeting the obstacles. You welcome the obstacles. You love them. Why you love them? Because you have that inner being inside. Yeah? You love all the adversaries in some way, because it challenges you. It challenges the inner being to come forward more and more, bring more and more power. I'm not speaking from the mental point of view, not from the conceptual point of view now. It is really so. Once you have that touch, it feels like everything is possible, and the enjoyment of the inner being in the weird, in the kind of hostile circumstances is even more precious. I will tell you the story of the pianist, the one beautiful woman from Paris who fell in love with one Russian, and the revolution happened, and he wanted to go back to Russia, and she wanted to go with him. She was the best pianist. She was giving concerts. She was 16 years old, and she was already giving concerts in the best conservatorium and all over Europe. And she went with him to Russia, and they were arrested, and they were kind of recognized as the enemies of the people. That time, Stalin's time, he was cleaning everybody, killing millions of people. So they were put into the concentration camp. She was so against this. She said, I don't accept it. I know my husband, he wants the truth, and so on. So they took her also. And so she was working in Siberia in this cutting wood, this in the frost, minus 40 degrees. And her fingers, and they were very bad kind of concentration camp. Those KGB agents were always torturing people, killing them, and so on. And one of them was all the time, coming to her and hitting her with his pistol, a heavy metal pistol, on her fingers. He broke her all fingers on the hands, her pianist, and he was enjoying it. And she says, I can forgive everyone, but not this one. How he was So in that frost, in that miserable circumstances, in absolutely misery life, living with criminals, she lived with criminals. But she was so kind and so good that criminals loved her. All these women, and they created for her from the table, wooden table, the piano notes, like piano, these, and cut the notes of piano from the table. So it was a kind of table cut as a piano scale, and she was playing to them on that piano in the night, the Bach and Beethoven, and these people, they swear that they heard the music. Now, look at this situation. What can be worse? And when after Stalin died, they actually said that it was a mistake that they took her there, and so they released her. First thing, she ran from that concentration camp to some school in the village. There was a school, and in that school in the village they had a piano. So she rushed into that school, and so the person who was kind of taking care of the school, he recognized the cloth that she's coming from the camp, from the jail. So he let her in, and she played the whole night on that piano, and fell asleep at it. And all the teachers came to the school in the night, and they were standing near the door and weeping. This is the divine event of the highest possible kind. Yeah? It moves the inner being. So the worst adverse circumstances can be overcome with the power of the inner being. I really mean this. And the divine does it sometimes, yeah? Creates the worst situation for you to reveal the deepest truth of yourself. So it's not always bad. It is the way. So it's not only the favorable situation in which you are. Favorable is very relaxing. You become very insensitive towards the truth. Yeah? You take it easy. Taking easy is not really. Look at Aurobindo life. Just look at his life. All the mothers, for that matter. Anyhow, I do not know whether I convinced you with anything, but I believe that the adverse circumstances are helpful to reveal, if there is something to reveal from within. Yeah.
Madhav, falling back on the Vedic concept of the Dasyus and the Panis, Sri Aurobindo talks, when he defines them, he says the Dasyus are those forces that will push you down in order to ensure that you do not get satisfied with half perfections. So their goal is to make you conscious of your yet imperfect being. And so I think that's a very positive quality of these Dasyus.
Very nice. Very nice.
While every time there's a Dasyu, it means that there is still work to be done.
Absolutely. So they're showing you where it has to be done. These are the obstacles. Obstacles are coming, pointing, there you go, that you do. This is where you have to apply your consciousness. If we see that, there is no more. So we are not taken by these obstacles. We are just helped by them. Yeah? We are helped because we have ourselves already. So.
Yeah, and there's also a wonderful quotation by the mother. In fact, it's there in her voice where she's talking of surrender. So she says that these obstacles will always be there. And as long as you're affected by obstacles, it implies that your surrender is not complete. And this surrender is, and she's it's a very, very powerful passage on the net that you can find. Mother and surrender. It's a very, very reassuring one also. So there she says eventually that even if there is a little wavering in the face of circumstance, you can be sure that the surrender is yet to be complete. And so this surrender again connects to what you were saying of uh, offering to that inner being. Yeah.
And so in another place, she was asked, because Sri Aurobindo, his father died, his wife, Mrinalini Devi, died. So all his kind of relatives were taken away from him. It's quite interesting how... And somebody asked the mother, is it really so that when you are stepping on this yoga, of integral yoga, that all whom you love are taken away from you? And mother says, no, it's not like this. It's only with those who are chosen. Yeah, because the divine, absolute divine surrender, absolute divine acceptance has to be there. You have to be ready to do it. You cannot start, kind of... In other place, Aurobindo says that in this yoga, to share the aim, if there is no only one aim to realize the divine, but there are some other aims, some other desires in life, then the realization of this yoga becomes impossible. This is as simple as that. Because this integral yoga is absolute yoga. The divinity has to be in every thought, feeling, action, relation. So how can we do it if we have some other aims? Okay, and then there is another passage which is powerful, and here they come, all the beings which we were mentioning, resisting. Yona ago abhi eno bharati adhit agham aghasham se dadhata jahi chikitvo abhishastim etam agneyo no marchayati dvayena. Here it is dvayena, our favorite. Yonach, who for us, agas, the sin, or we will speak about this word, and agas and amhas both, and agham, they are all kindred roots, and ahi, the snake or the python, they are all kindred, connected. It is considered to be a sin, or if you look into there, I put it here, agas, transgression, offense, sin, fault, injury. Agha, bad, dangerous, evil, is happening. Enas, unhappiness, misfortune, calamity. All these words, the whole set of them. So Yonach agas abhi eno bharati, who the expressor of evil, who seeks to bring sin and transgression onto us. His own evil do thou return upon his head. Aghasham se, to the one, onto the one who proclaims or points the aghas. Dadhata, establish upon him, or set upon his head, or upon him, cursing us, the curse. Adhid, adhiit, upon him, agham, this curse, or this narrowing down power you establish. Jahi chikitvach abhishastim etam, and this curse abhishastim etam, you chikitvach, or conscious one, or Agni, Jahi, kill or slay. Slay, O conscious knower, this hostile self-expression of him who oppresses us with the duality. Yo no marchayati dvayena, who frames us with duality. Marchayati, interesting word. Yeah, we have another, murchati, and this is marchayati. These are kindred roots, yeah? We have from here murti also, murti as a statue, as a forming or framing or making form out of it, yeah? And they are all kindred and connected to Mari root, yeah? Mari is to die, interesting root. And connected to the set of roots of Ma, Mi, Mu, Mri, yes? All with Mu, connecting, creating form. Mri, creating another form, or deviating from the form, or cleansing from here. Also, Mrish, to cleanse also, yes? Mrij, to cleanse. And we have the whole kind of idea about Mri forming, framing, those who are framing us with duality. So what is this framing with duality? Huh? Oppresses us with duality, Aurobindo says. Why with duality we are oppressed? That is exactly their purpose, as Anuradha was mentioning. Yes, they are there to really create that tension, or create that action of the divinity upon the resistance. And we are the instruments of that action. It goes through us. We are here for that purpose, to meet the oppressions, the oppressors, the mortals. That's why we came here. Otherwise we would never come here, and manifestation would not take place. We are here to meet them and to change them, to redeem them, to release them from that role, from that fallen role, to bring through us, to bring that higher consciousness into them also, that they would be ignited in their true selves, and remove that spell of fallen beings from them. There are powers of the first creation, it's my interpretation, who consciously oppose the process of transformation and therefore their redemption. They possess man, fixing them to their imperfect state of existence and thus prolonging their own. These powers belong to the first creation of the fallen spiritual emanations, which man came down to save. They do not sacrifice, they do not know what sacrifice is. It is not in their nature. The self-expression is the only thing they know. They can only assert themselves, express themselves, their needs. Yeah, that's their fight. They're always fighting for and aggrandizing themselves. They want to grow in their own selfishness. Everything which is not self-centered for the sake of self-attainment and self-assertion is opposed by them, and is considered to be weakness of the being. It's out of their, system of thinking. To live for others or other aim than ourselves is difficult for them. They can't do it. It's like asuras. You remember all the stories about asuras and gods, when they were given the food and the elbow was fixed, and so the gods started to feed each other, and the asuras couldn't eat because they can't feed each other. They have no idea that it is even possible that you can feed someone else than yourself. So when they enter the space of the aspirant, the Aryan who is born to save and work for the divine, and bring their nature into his consciousness, they oppress him with this duality of selfish and self-oriented existence of the Dasyu, creating the duality in him of self-sacrifice and self-preservation. So this duality, whether I give myself for the divine or I preserve myself for my own sake, my body, my mind, my thinking, my achievements, my savings, my everything, my family, my dogmas, my philosophies, and so on. And we feel it. We are constantly in this duality. We are constantly in this one fight. There is only one fight we are facing, one battle. It is this. There is no other. We all have in us the two natures. One belongs to the body, vital, and mind, the dwelling place, as it were. It's our dwelling place. And the other is the soul, the dweller, the psychic being, the spark of Agni within. It is our constant duality. So when the Rishi says, who oppresses us with duality, it might mean exactly this, who brings more actively the Dasyus action into the consciousness of man. So, yeah, when the preservation, self-preservation becomes dominant, we become afraid. Then only we are afraid. Yeah. Because when we are in the psychic, we are not even afraid. It's a very interesting psychological thing, yes, about these dasyus and about these agha and agar and amhas and ahi, all these words. The python of the deep, yeah?
I'm also just wondering if the in before that has adds something to it, or like agha, does it add anything phonetically?
And even aham, I think, somehow connected to this for some reason. I do not know, really, truly speaking, why it is so. Ahi is that kind of narrowing down, crunching down. This narrowing down is an important thing. That means we do not have ourselves. We narrow down our scope of being, So the scope becomes so narrow and so small that it nearly disappears. So you have no space to be yourself. Everywhere there is somebody else, not you. It's not me, yeah? So the darkness is all around you. And so you are shrinking, and shrinking is actually being afraid. Yeah? To be afraid is to shrink, to come back to yourself, away from elsewhere. You are not there, you're not there, you're not this, you're not that. That is the duality. But in reality, you are everywhere, and you are everything. Yeah?
Can I share something here?
Yeah.
Because working with sounds and mantras and trying to understand their experiential quality. So I do a workshop on the sound Om itself and break it up into Uma. And the Manduki also, the sound is, that expansiveness, U and all. So it's very interesting to see. So I give them a visualization. I say, just do the sound and they do it in different degrees of confidence, length, etc. And I say, okay, observe what kind of hand movement you'd like to do to express it. So very often across cultures you will see that it tends to be an opening, which is how the vibration of the ah manifests itself in the body. So automatically there will be a gesture of an ah like that, very naturally. And then I say, okay, now we'll do a visualization. So you visualize that now you have that you're either on top of a mountain or you're somewhere where there is nobody around you, and that you're making the sound ah not as an adult but as a child, and listen to your ah. And invariably that ah opens up like a whole different dimensions of themselves. So it's very interesting that the ah is said to be the absolute sound of our existence, the sound of absolute existence. And the more cramped it is by the external world, the more it reflects it in its quality as well. So
Mm,
when that visualization happens, so I tell them, I said, imagine you've not even gone anywhere. It's
mm,
just a small window that you've opened up in the mind, and the entire sound changes. So it's quite fascinating the
mm.
extent to which we block in our existential spaces.
When you say only and there is no other sound afterwards, then it is very different from, for example, aga. Huh?
Yeah.
Because after it's not that anymore. Notice, it's not that infinity It
Hmm.
is that something which makes this ga or ga different. So to say, it redirects this action which follows it into some other space, into some remote space, let us say, into non-existent or far away time and space. You know? Maybe even transcendental. Transcendental, I was always thinking in the past, because past tense is with argument. You know? But or asatyam, yes, for something which is non-actualizing it, non-actualizing in this moment of time. That means it is there, but it is not in this moment of time. Yeah, it is elsewhere. It is transcendental. And in that sense, of course, plays that role of the infinite existence. So, Satyam you are speaking Satyam of infinite existence, and that is Asatyam. That means it's not actual now. It does not belong to this truth, to this moment. It belongs to the general truth. It's a very good way of putting it, you know. So maybe here also this or by long I do not know. Maybe we can check with the dictionary. It could be something there. It could be interesting. By agar, agas with long a, and it gas transgressions. It's from ga to go, most probably agas, going through. Or, something which is not staying. Maybe it is that, but I don't believe. I believe that it's kindred to aghas and anga, or this ahas, amhas. There's another word, angha, anxiety, trouble, sin. They are all somehow kindred roots, connected, very closely related. And all of them have that connotation, of ahi, amhi, amhas. Amhas is another. There is ambhas, also waters, transcendental. Somehow something is about transcendence or non-existence, or pointing out to away from the actuality. Either or. It's difficult to figure out. But your exercises with R, and what about E? Did you
With
do
E,
it?
I don't, I mean, I've done with E also, but I have the oo is again very, very interesting,
Mm-hmm.
because the sound oo seems to be somewhere, it's like the sound of love itself, because it's a sound that is all encompassing, just the way it is formed, and it has a sense of bringing
Really?
everything in, and at the same time giving. The oo has both aspects, even in the Mandukya. It is like a giving and a receiving. So it's very, so the exercise exercise I make them do is, I say, think of those people that you don't like at all, and keep the ones that you really dislike closest to your heart, and then do the ooh. And it's quite fascinating to see how people actually feel blocked in bringing the hands any closer, or the ooh gets really short, because again, that they're unable to establish that connection with themselves really. And then the idea that we create so many of these false paradigms of otherness, that if we knew how to overcome that, and then it has also been fascinating because I suggested to some people, I said, just do this exercise with people that you really don't like. Just do the ooh and allow yourself to forgive and be one, because at the end there really is no difference. At the end, if you really think of it very deeply, there is no other. That it's entirely a creation of the mind, really. So I said, if one can, and then what happens very strangely, the people who reported back, they said that the relationship with that person changes also. Just doing the
Yeah.
exercise with the ooh here and doing that visualization then leads to an actual shift in the dynamics between the two. It's
Very
quite
interesting.
fascinating what's
It's
going
very
on.
interesting. You know, the oo is a binding sound, basically. It is that mediator in space, yeah, holding two in one. And you can see it in all the roots, like if you take ma, mi, mu, mri. So ma is measuring or creating the form in a most general way. Mi is diminishing the form, kind of making it more precise. And mu is binding, yeah, binding. And this binding is actually that what happens when you say ooh, imagining the person. You are creating one space, you create interaction within the subtle body of yours. This is amazing. Yeah. It may work if you want to really bind with someone. Do oohing, ooh meditation. I like it. I like it very much. And don't do a re-meditation. Because that would be separating, drilling, breaking, crushing. Unless you want to. You want to crush someone, do re-meditation.
No, re is good for oneself because it really allows the what do you say, the screwing into the being almost. It allows that drilling into your own being, which is so dense and it's so hard to crack. So the sound r allows that to unfold.
Well, yeah, R is a kind of resisting in spite of any resistance and breaking through that through resistance everywhere. And of course, in drilling into oneself or into the obstacles, it doesn't matter where drilling, somewhere drilling, but not binding, not. Great. Okay, we can stop here for today. And I will close with the mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.